When you look at this picture, you might think, well, this is a young person, maybe a teenager. I don't know how old she is, this girl in particular. This is just a young person doing something silly, playing a prank. Okay. Could be. When I was younger, I did some stupid things too. If an older person is directing that teenager to play these pranks, if an older person, an adult, is offering the rewards of money and attention and fame and even housing and food and meals, a whole sort of alternate family, an alternate social structure, a whole incentive system built into this so-called political movement that comes to resemble a cult, that's different. I think there's a tremendous moral and ethical difference between teenagers behaving badly and fully grown adults stage managing the bad behavior of teenagers as publicity stunts, ultimately to build up the public support, donations, fame, and notoriety for their so-called political movement.
That's me, in Dodgers Stadium on the pitcher's mound. It's the middle of the 9th inning, and the game is tied 3-3. I'm standing next to Major League pitcher Kenley Jansen, and judging by his expression, he isn't too thrilled that I'm there. Because if it isn't obvious already, I'm not a professional baseball player. In fact, that was the very first time I ever went to a baseball game. And I honestly can't tell you who won, because 30 seconds after this picture was taken, my sign was ripped out of my hand. I was tackled by security guards, handcuffed, and dragged off the field, all on live TV. I was then stuffed into the back of a patrol car, arrested by the LAPD, and I spent the next 4 hours being held in custody and questioned by the police. This was 1 year ago, and I was 14 years old.
If you're vegan and you care about vegan activism, you've probably heard some strange things about direct action everywhere lately. You've probably heard about the charismatic leader of Direct Action Everywhere having 2 teenage girls as his main acolytes, appearing on camera with them, making announcements with them. You've probably heard things about teenage girls sleeping in strange situations in the main headquarters of Direct Action Everywhere. Whether that's just because they don't have enough beds to go around and people are sleeping in closets and people are sleeping in other people's beds, or whether it's for other reasons. You've probably heard some strange things that anyone from the most neutral and detached perspective could say are at the least bad optics for a quote-unquote political organization. A political organization that is more and more easily coming to be described as a cult.
And I spent the next 4 hours being held in custody and questioned by the police. This was 1 year ago, and I was 14 years old.
Plenty of 14-year-olds might do something just as foolish, made up off the top of their own head. But when they do it under the direction of a fully grown adult, it's different. When they take on such a project as part of a political organization, a religious organization, or a cult, and at this point, DxE, Direct Action Everywhere, resembles all three, the ethical problem we're dealing with here is different. This is a 14-year-old girl. Problem doesn't only exist when you're talking about people under the age of 18, and it doesn't only exist when you're talking about females rather than males. Doesn't. All right? Fully grown women, 35 and 45, can have years and years of their life screwed up by this kind of activism. Fully grown men can too. But yes, the problem is even more obvious when you're talking about people who are at the crucial age when they should be attending high school or when they should be actively worrying about applications to join a college, get job training, enter the workforce, sign up, join the military, you name it. This is not a unique case study. This young woman age 14 at the time of her arrest. I know other examples, 17 years old, 18 years old, 16 years old. I know things I'm not going to say on the internet, and I'm not going to say on YouTube. I know that Direct Action Everywhere have created a long-term public relations nightmare for themselves here. They've done something that PETA would never do. People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals don't have teenage girls living in their house with them. They've done something PCRM, Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, would never do. They've taken a fateful step here without really thinking it through, without acting strategically, in total violation of all the founding principles this organization was created to serve.
We know from scientific studies and observation that chickens feel fear, pain, love, and contentment. They desire peace and happiness, just like we do. If you have ever spent time with a chicken, then you've probably seen this for yourself. It is individuals like Sleepy who I think about when I protest at grocery stores and restaurants. It is their stories that keep me on my feet. And yes, it's driven me to take actions that some of you might even roll your eyes at. But let's just note that because of these actions, I was invited to speak here, and I just got to educate all of you about animal rights for 10 minutes. So that's something. And no, I wasn't there because I thought it was cool, fun, or exciting. In fact, I knew that my actions would be frowned upon by most people because viewers would see me as being disruptive or rude. After all, I was breaking the law right there in front of them and taking the consequences for all to see. But the thing is,
I am not here to demonize Wayne Hsiung on the basis of rumor and innuendo. I'm not. I'm here to remind everyone in the DxE organization of the high standard you are supposed to be holding yourselves to. You were founded on the promise that you were going to be better than past movements. You were going to be better than PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. You were going to be better than them because you were only going to use methods that had proven to be effective by the high standards of social science research. Where's the social science research behind this strategy, Wayne? Whatever it was this movement was supposed to embody, this ain't it. I'm even willing to believe the best. I'm willing to believe there are no bad intentions behind having these teenage girls living in the DxE house, having 17-year-olds sleeping in a closet, maybe because you ran out of bedrooms, or having teenagers sharing beds with other people. That whole story, Wayne, about what happened when you and Priya broke up temporarily, and Priya had another boyfriend, and that boyfriend was linked to a certain much younger woman, and there were allegations of a certain crime being committed. Yeah, I know all that too, Wayne. Absolutely nothing about this organization you're running looks like it was informed by or planned on the basis of social science research. You look like a crummy cult leader who's just trying to powermonger and chase headlines, get fame and notoriety by manipulating some of the weakest people, the people who are the most easily manipulated, including teenage girls, into doing one stunt after another, one publicity stunt, one form of embarrassing, denigrating activism after another, so you can get your name into the headlines in the newspaper. And what's the long-term outcome going to be for these girls? I know there are women in their 40s who are screwed up by DxE. I know there are men in their 30s, whatever, all ages, all genders. But obviously, the long-term impact for someone who got involved at age 14 or age 17, it's going to be even more obvious. It's going to be even worse. Nothing about the organization you're running, Wayne, even if I assume the best, even if I assume there's no hanky-panky, There's no sexual element to this. There's no, even if I assume that, Wayne, you set out with a very clear mission statement and mandate. The founding principles of direct action everywhere were clear to everyone involved. Somewhere along the way, the leadership forgot what those principles were. Dun, 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 dun.